There's no point trying to run a business and be the only leader. You need more people to lead the business for you. So we've got to grow them up and it balances. Everybody can take that pressure. Maybe it's their day today, they're in charge, a bit more pressure today. But the next 2 days they're off, and it's somebody else's pressure to do. But if more people can do that, it spreads to everybody's. They can all go, okay, they're confident today. My section, my department's okay. I'm not going to come back into a problem. So empowering them to be able to give that back to the other senior leaders, I think is a huge development. You've got to that leadership position because you should have already earned that trust and respect and authority, that you can now disseminate that to the rest of the team, and they feel, oh, he's leading me now. So actually getting those supervisors and becoming leaders to learn to be confident to set someone else to do that job for them shows that they're leading, shows they're in control. They're not just doing it all themselves, from serving the table, taking the order, taking the wine list, suggesting the wines, asking about desserts, doing the chit chat. Get somebody else to do that. Spread that through them. So it's trying to get them to be confident, to not feel that it's okay to ask other people to do their duties for them.
You're listening to the Life and Leadership Podcast, where leaders from across the globe share openly about the trials, triumphs, and lessons learned along the leadership journey. Whether you're a seasoned, new, or aspiring leader, get ready to receive powerful insights and practical takeaways to help you grow in your leadership. And now, here is your host, Mary Eniolu.
Welcome to the Life and Leadership Podcast. My guest today is Mike Wood, General Manager and Director of Hempstead House Hotel and Spa, with 20 years of independent hotel experience and 9 years of senior management experience. He's also the Joint Vice Chair of the Southeast Institute of Hospitality. Mike has a passion to create a team of people that learn from each other and work collaboratively for business and individual growth and success. He's blessed to have a wonderful wife and 2 children who support his lifestyle, loves to make a good cappuccino when he gets to work, and will escape to the golf course whenever possible. Mike, thank you so much for coming on the Life and Leadership Podcast. It's really great to have you here today.
You're very welcome, Mary. It's been lovely to be in discussion with you.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it. I'm just going to ask you to kick us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to where you are today.
Oh, goodness me. God, when did I start? It was September 1999 when I first came into the industry. Nearly 24 years, blimey. I'm in my mid-40s now. So I've seen and heard and been around the game, if you like, because it is a game and a lifestyle, which we're going to be talking about. And I grew up in a pub with my parents from the age of 5 to 16. So left at the age of 16 when it was all a bit exciting, I suppose. But through those years, I just saw the activity of hospitality and thought, God, this looks great. This is fun. It's busy. It's vibrant. Something different every day. Always something to look forward to or work out and solutions. And I watched my parents sort of thrive through the industry of long-serving publicans and hospitality and dining and outlets. And that sort of grew me into thinking maybe it's my lucky stars or unlucky stars that this is where I am now. It's been a long journey from inheritance of lifestyle, from being a junior up into the industry, starting off at the age of 20, and still here now.
That's quite interesting, to be honest. I've interviewed a number of general managers on this podcast, and they tend to all have the similar stories of just kind of falling into the industry and realizing how much they love it. You know, it's amazing when things happen, and in retrospect you look back and you see how experiences you had as a child growing up, etc., how it actually shapes your future. It's really, really interesting.
So totally.
So now you're the GM of the Hempstead House in Sittingbourne. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I am. So I've been here now for 11 years. Came over here from a lucky situation from a local hotel. The owners here were looking to develop and make it into a bit of a destination. It was always on a competitor set, and I'd heard about it and thought, God, I've done 7 or 8 years at this place already here where I was previously, and this opportunity sort of fell into the right direction. So came over here to sort of help the owners and proprietor and GM at the time look at remapping the business and how leisure market transitioned to corporate market, wedding market, private dining, and how the whole business needed a bit of a help. And I could see it quite disjointed, and got really involved operationally at the time. So operations manager and leisure was where it all sort of started. And then for the last six years, I've taken the GM-ship to here in the business. and along came that role and duty and responsibilities. So yeah, it's a beautiful little country house hotel down here in the Garden of England in Kent. We're quite close to the city, so we get a bit of travel from the city. A lot of local business here. We try to find that niche in our competitor set, if you like, to be healthily competitive, but equally stand alone in what we are and who we are. And it's a beautiful, independent, boutique, privately owned hotel. No consortiums, big brothers or sisters to support it financially, or on the supplier chain route, or the procurement and HR route. So it's all us independently here to work it out. And that's the great challenge, I think.
Yeah, I can imagine. And don't want to mention the dreaded C word that threw us all a curveball that none of us were expecting. But I think more so for the hospitality industry, obviously, it hit hard. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you coped in that season of COVID, and how and perhaps the lessons you've learned and changes you've made as a result
Oh
of,
gosh, yeah, wasn't it just March 2020 and all the things we had planning, and how good things were and how bubbling things were economically for everybody. It was a real perfect storm for everything, and it was catastrophic. And I really have a handheld, condolence to a lot of people that professionally in their jobs didn't survive and closed down, or had real remapping problems and what to do in that situation. We had that little dabble of interest where we thought things were going to reopen again, and by then nobody really knew what to do. They kept their same business plans. They just came back to life and carried on. We had the same discussions in the room I'm sitting in now. We were due to, in December, to have a festive Santa experience here in the hotel, and it was a great busy December, and it all got pulled away from us on the 19th of December. That day, remember it so well. And so many flat staff here thought, I've got to go home again. It's all, I'm going to lose my job again. And we thought, as a business owners, this is it now. This is the second time. We can't see this again. The Kent variant came apparent down here, that it was the new strain across the world that was known. God, what have we done down here in Kent? How did we cause this? God, we're going to be hated by everybody. So yeah, it's such a regrowth, and what a platform. And for us, like many, we had to borrow some money from banks and look at what we were going to do. And the whole process just made us stand up and say, we have to push forwards with this, and not just give into it. Don't try and look to streamline the business. Don't close areas down. Don't just open up with 5 or 6 rooms again. Don't just bring 1 or 2 staff back. We have to reinvest and use this opportunity, where in hospitality you never get the chance to close down and reformat your business, or redecorate, or reimagine your business. So that's what we did. Right. We really went for it. We really took it on, and it was the best thing we could have ever done. It motivated the staff. It motivated us as owners, proprietor, to think that's what we're going to do. That it looked so positive. We just had to remain positive to try and drive it forwards. And financially, it worked out in the end. We had a huge upturn, huge resurgence of business. It kind of helped us realise how many people did know about us here and wanted to come back to this industry to work and for leisure. So it was really powerful, but in so many ways. And I at that time didn't have, like any other GMs might have done 30, 40, 50 years. Nobody had an answer. Nobody knew what to do. We all became level, and the whole reach out process to communicate and connect with people was huge. So it brought so many competitor sets and suppliers together, I think, that made it really, really successful for majority of the industry to see where we're at now.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, yes, I think COVID really did become or create a level playing field to a huge respect for most industries. It really did, because it was like reset, everybody start again. And we all had to learn through and go through, find a way through. But I love what you said, because that it takes a certain mindset to actually come up with that way to respond to what was going on at the time. What would have been the normal maybe way of thinking would be, like you said, downsize, reduce, try and manage, etc. But you went the complete total opposite direction to say this is actually the time to invest and get ready for when we relaunch and come back. So I think courageous leadership is so important. It takes courage to be able to lead, especially in times of uncertainty and crisis like this.
Courage was one thing, yeah, definitely, because I thought that I've got to help support the decision. I can't have the proprietor, the owner, going one way and me thinking, no, operationally this won't work. We had to collaborate and make that decision to move that forward and take it that way. And it was all or nothing. Maybe because we didn't have investors, we didn't have family backing, we didn't have schemes that we couldn't let other people down. Our staff were our core heartbeat, and if it was that guilt to feel that if we did get this wrong, that could be the problem. What would we do with those lifestyles for everybody that was employed by us? How would we deal with that emotionally and collaboratively to sort that out for everybody? So it was a huge decision that felt that was the best way to do it. You couldn't have people coming back wanting to spend money and earn money in a standard business that hadn't improved. So it was a big decision to make, and quite a heavy financial one. But we knew it couldn't. It had to recover. Something had to recover from the whole industry, and that we just couldn't let it go. So it was a big step, and a really proud one that we took that decision.
Wonderful, and I'm pleased to hear it paid out. It paid out. So I mean, the hospitality industry is a funny, I don't want to say funny one, it's unique. And I love it in the sense of how it operates. It's so close to all of our hearts. It's so intertwined with our daily lives, whether it's the pub down the road or the restaurant, or it's a hotel, or it's a spa. It's just there. It's part of our daily lives. And sometimes we, the users, don't think about perhaps how it impacts on those who work in the industry, because it's almost like a 24/7 service, as it were. So I would like us to talk a little bit about work-life balance in the hospitality industry. Is that something that is achievable? Is it something that is possible at all?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, because you hear it to everybody you talk about socially in your peer groups and friendship groups. I work all the time at work. You can see work-life balance is a big thing, but for me, I kind of identify kind of what it means, because I think if I take myself back to 20 years old, I didn't have a family, and I had a partner, but I had responsibilities of paying mortgages or anything. So my work-life balance was just want to work. I want to work all the time. This is great. Yeah, I keep working. I'm available. Yeah, I'm available. Yeah, no problem. Weekends is great. Yeah, I'd rather that, rather not this. But I wanted to work. And as you progress personally through your lifestyle, responsibilities start to occur. Families occur. Partners occur. Marriages occur. Pets arrive. Children arrive. All sorts of things that you think, okay, I can't be like that. As driven as and motivated as I can be, I've got to work this out. And you takes that time to realise it's happening before you now need to put it in place. It's the skill is trying to work out to get that balance first before it overlaps, and then causes the resentment of something, and something has to give or break. And to find that, so that's why I think some people need work as their lifestyle, and it's hard to understand that, because I think people need that community, people need that togetherness, they need that integration to be coming to work. But equally, you can't expect that of people. And if you find the right characters that sometimes you meet in the industry that just generally want to work more, they have a home life, that don't have a partner, they don't have anything to be going over, they want to be out, they want their mental health, they want to be engaged and busy and productive, and so that's really tricky. So it can be achieved by yourself as an individual in your workplace, proposing it with your employer, but equally us recognising it as employers need to prevent it before it becomes a problem, to make sure that you're not exposing that to become a negative lifestyle to people. So it's definitely achievable, and it's I think where the freedom of hospitality in my industry or our industry helps is that people can be flexible with that shift pattern. It's open 24/7, so you're not fixed into having to work at 9 and having to work till 6 or 5 every day.
Right.
There's opportunities to, in the summer months, come to work at 6, 7 in the morning on a rota and finish at 2 or 3 in the afternoon. You've done a day's work, 8 hours. You got 3 till 10 o'clock at night off at home, so it feels like you've got a day off and you've worked the same day. So that beauty of the industry where shift pattern can work is amazing. And the occasional time to fit different things in. If you want to go shopping, you want to go away, you can have 2 days off in the middle of the week to go to the theme park with your kids. Okay, it's half terms, it's a bit busier, but if they're underage or under 5 or something, or certain ages, you can achieve loads when other people are at work. So you're not committed to be going out at weekends all the time with hundreds of people, busy shopping centres, where everybody's going. So if you find the right sector through the industry, I think that, it's definitely achievable to find that work-life balance as an employee, but us recognise as an employer to make sure we're giving it is very key.
Yeah, no, I love that. Basically, I hear you say is work-life balance is very subjective.
Totally.
Basically,
I think
it's
totally, because
yeah, it's
we worry too much by making sure it is a work-life balance, but other people, they don't want it. Their balance is actually being here
yeah,
more,
yeah.
working there. They want to work their 35, 40 hours.
It depends on where you are at that point in your life, and I always say we can't ever achieve work-life balance anyway. You never get that balance, do you? What we want to achieve is some sort of harmony around everything we're doing. Like you say, we don't want anything to suffer or to break, but
Yep.
it's never 50-50. You never say, oh, I've done 50 for work, it has to be 50 for family. It's just having that harmony in your lives where nothing is
Yeah,
suffering in a
absolutely. And
sense.
how
Yeah.
many times you'll meet someone in a conversation, you say, well, you end a call by saying, look after yourself, don't work too hard. All right? And I go, okay, I won't work too hard, but in my duty in my professional career, I have to work hard. I have like a 10-year gap now, or I have to work hard,
Mm.
because if you don't work hard, you don't get the privilege of having that balance of lifestyle to perhaps go on a weekend away or go on
Yeah.
holiday or look to go and buy something with the kids and go shopping for a day out.
Mm.
So it's a tricky what that means. So it's you have to get that figured out.
If you're enjoying this conversation, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. That will help us bring more inspiring conversations to you and reach more people. And if you know of a leader that should be featured on the Life and Leadership podcast, please reach out to us with their details. We would love to hear from you. So let's talk specifically with respect to leadership.
Mhm.
So, as a leader in the hospitality industry, how do you achieve that work-life balance for yourself? What are some of the things you've put in place that enables you to, or let me rephrase, what are some of the things you've put in place to achieve that work-life harmony for yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a structure. I have a situation. So as I say, our industry and business is open 7 days a week. So where do I need to be? Where do I want to be? As in the days visible to the staff and days visible to the customers. So I've got to find that severity of not doing it all Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every day of the week, and not then being there on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or out of those 3 days, because that's when we're building everything. That's when the decisions are made. That's when I feel I'm in my key element to be here midweek, middays. But equally, I can't just be, okay, thanks team, well done, see you next Monday then, and not be in on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday all the time. So I've got to look at the business and structure myself quite organised through a month to then think that's what's coming up. A couple of key events, a couple of special VIP visits. We've got a special, we've got some staff shortages. So where do I place myself and be organised week by week by week, not just stick to my set days and think that's it, whatever goes on around me. So that actually helps me, although it may look unbalanced because I may not know what I'm doing week to next to tell my family or tell myself. It actually gives me a comfort to know that I'm at the right places when I need to be, not just stay with my fixed days off and let it happen around me. Because that's I think the way I build into how to see I'm visibly leading the business, visibly leading it for the team, and visibly leading it for the guests if they're here and they want to make sure it's all happening correctly, and be the face of the business. Sometimes just a handshake and a welcome if you know a couple of guest names that are coming back. That's really, really special to me, just to sort of go and identify that and work those guests out. So placing myself at the right place at the right time is key. The modern digital world, on a mobile phone, yours will be pinging now, there'll be emails coming in now, there'll be text messages about something, there'll be a group chat. So actually, for me and the senior team, I kind of try and harmonise if that's acceptable or not, for them to have that, to help them be ahead of the game, that there's an issue or something can be prevented before they come back to work later that day or the next day, rather than please don't look at your phones, please don't, if you're off totally. A lot of the staff I've found want to be connected and they want to know what's happening today if they're off, to know that when they come in tomorrow, they're aware of it, not that turn up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and that's the first they find out that an event's changed, an event's cancelled, something's happened at the hotel. They want to be connected to know, and that helps them build their lifestyle balance to know that they're not feeling anxious or nervous about they're disconnected from the business. So it's a very tricky one, trying to keep balancing what do the staff want to know out of their work time.
No, but
So,
I totally I hear what you're saying. I mean, even as a self-employed business owner, there are certain times I don't work. I say I'm not going to work on the weekends. I'm not going to work on, but sometimes, like you say, I do check my emails. I'm not
Hmm.
rigid about it. I do check my emails because at the end of the day, I am going to come in on Monday and I'm going to need to deal with those things. And so me
Yep.
being aware and being prepared helps
Hmm.
me. It's actually not detrimental to me to have that information beforehand on the weekend. Even
Yeah.
sometimes when I have to work in the evenings, it's not, for me, it's not taken out of my work-life balance
Mm.
because some Mondays, for instance, during the day, I might not be working. I might decide I want to go do something else. So that
Mm.
flexibility, I think, is important. But there was something you mentioned about the planning and being intentional. So planning your day or your weeks, I suppose, in advance and being intentional about how you position yourself in the business is something that you have found helps you. So rather than being rigid about your
Mm.
days off, planning ahead and intentionally positioning yourself in a certain way in the business
Yeah.
actually helps you achieve that work-life harmony. And communication is something else you mentioned, the power of communication.
I did hugely, and it's not to be self-centric about thinking me as a leader and how my plan may not work for somebody else, but yes, in a senior position leader, I've equally got leaders in the hotel in every capacity. The events office are individual leaders themselves managing their own time, and they're leading the business. So it's leadership in different ways. You've got supervisors that have got a lot less pressure, if you like, but it's relevant pressure to the role they're in as supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
They're still leading. They might be 22 years old, but they're still leading. They have to be a leader to 2 or 3 other staff on that shift, as well as the admin team and reception team. So their responsibility is still a leadership criteria, and they may not get the chance to schedule their rota. They may not get the chance to choose when they're going to work or where to position themselves. But if they can take tools out of organising that in their shift, well, where should I place myself today? Should I be on the restaurant floor and running the restaurant as supervisor? Probably yes. But if they can collaborate that with somebody else that's a bit junior, but show them how they would do it, that helps them understand it as well, where to place themselves during their shift, and they're organised with it. I then
Right.
elevate it to prioritise where I place myself on days through the week. So that's how I'd want to how I sort of look to explain it to the rest of the team here, rather than just follow your rota, yes, but don't just come in and do the same thing.
So if
See,
you were to give advice to your leaders, um, and say, well, I think if you do this, that, and the other, you will be able to achieve this work-life harmony that everybody seems to be chasing. What would those three things be for you, do you think?
yeah,
Advice that you would give them?
yeah, it definitely would be. I mean, don't looking back at yourself as I used to be, because I think we've all got caught up in that. When you get into a leadership role, you try and put your shield on and captain. I can do all this for everybody, and I'm in leading, and I'm in charge, and this is the way it's going to be. Actually, it's kind of quite not that. You've got to that leadership position because you should have already earned that trust and respect and authority, that you can now disseminate that to the rest of the team, and they feel, oh, he's leading me now. So actually getting those supervisors and becoming leaders to learn to be confident to set someone else to do that job for them shows that they're leading, shows they're in control. They're not just doing it all themselves, from serving the table, taking the order, taking the wine list, suggesting the wines, asking about desserts, doing the chit chat. Get somebody else to do that. Spread that through them. So it's trying to get them to be confident, to not feel that it's okay to ask other people to do their duties for them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I would want to say is a key element for me, to not be too self-centric about it and get other people to give it a go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go and see if you can be a leader. Why not?
Empowering your team,
Mm,
basically.
mm, mm.
Empowering your team to do is one of the best ways to lead, and it's probably one of the best ways to achieve the work-life balance. Because if you are, like you say, focusing on yourself and what you
Yeah.
can do and depending only on yourself and
Mm.
your abilities, then you feel the need to always be on the ground doing
Yeah,
it.
because there's no point trying to run a business and be the only leader. You need more people to lead the business for you. So we've got to grow them up. So they need to give that back to us, and it balance. Everybody can take that pressure. Maybe it's their day today, they're in charge, a bit more pressure today, but the next 2 days they're off. And it's somebody else's pressure to do. But if more people can do that, it spreads to everybody's. They can all go, okay, they're confident today. My section, my department's okay. I'm not going to come back into a problem. So empowering them to be able to give that back to the other senior leaders, I think is a huge development.
Absolutely. Now, if you were to look back on your life, who and sort of one person to thank for where you are today, who would that person? Who would that person be, and why?
This is where I suppose some of these podcasts get a bit. It's not emotional, is it? But I suppose it's powerful because I've got a personal and a professional one. And I think back, I look at I mentioned about growing up in a pub, and the character I've become is I try to be very structured. I want things in my control. I like to be very disciplined and organised, but equally I like to be quite wing it. Let's work with this. Let's deal with this face to face. And if I can sort it out and on the hop, I can. And that's from my mum and dad. So dad was the business leader. Dad was the business organiser. Mum was on the floor. She was there with the customers. She would sort the problems out. If there's a water leak, she'll sort it out. And it's all that sort of hybrid, I suppose, of both that I've watched and inherited and developed through me. I've gone that's I don't know, subconsciously maybe that's a lot of them to give a bit of thanks for that. Why I felt I wanted to be this vibrant and this involved in a sector or a job that was stimulating to all areas. Give me best of my credentials that I can be organised and I like to be in control, but equally I like to work things out and I like to learn from that courageousness where perhaps it could be a bit of a failure and a bit of a crisis, but I'm going to get through that and strengthen myself. So that's I suppose the depth of thanks. But then professionally, it was an old general manager, and sadly he passed away. He's not here anymore, and I took the role. He general managed me at my previous hotel, and in that day I went through 4 or 5 general managers, and it seemed to be like a 2-year cycle that if you didn't perform and didn't deliver, you were sort of managed out of the business, and somebody else would come and have a go. And I felt always under sort of scrutiny from that and had to follow their direction at the time. And there was a general manager who came in, and we sort of, through sport and sort of group understanding of teamwork and something, we just seemed to work and just seemed to understand each other. That I had never been approached before by a manager or a senior leader in a privileged business or hotel sector that sort of connected with me and helped me and talked me through, but would equally put me in a position of authority out of my comfort zone, that I had to be a duty manager for a shift. He was going home, and it almost pushed the boundaries of him going, like I've said earlier, he's getting me to do his job for him, getting me to do stuff. But I felt really empowered by it. Although I was uncomfortable, he put me through a process, and the next day he would come and find me personally, come and talk to me, invite me to the office, talk me through it. How do you think it went? This went bad. This was bad. Oh, I've heard this. I've heard that. And it almost felt like I was under a bit of an assessment, a silent assessment of some sort. Or what is this? I'm being pushed here. I'm being a bit managed here. And it took me a while to work it out. And it was great. He moved on location wise to a different business, and I really missed that guy for probably 2 years of my career, coming into senior management at duty management level, food and beverage level, and leisure. And that's just before I moved over to here to come and work here. And I was learning my ropes here, restructure of a new business, new team, new staff, 70 people, 35 bedrooms, sort of bit of a punchy turnover of business responsibility. And I felt I needed a bit of help. I thought, I've got to reach out, and this manager, he knew where I was. We kept in contact, and I used him as a bit of a consultant. And he gave me a few sort of one-liners of various things that you have to do. And he was quite brutal in all of his ways. But as I technically wasn't his employee anymore or part of his team, he just said, "I hope you learn from me in everything I did for you for 2 years, because I really saw something in you, young man. And I really think you can take this further for the rest of your career." And him saying that impartially and almost as a friend just became, I see what you're doing there now. I now see what you did for me. I see what you did. He wouldn't put his arm around me and tell me what to do. He wouldn't help me. He would almost push me into the position of authority, of leadership. And I had to sink or swim, and I had to make it work, because I had to prove to him, he was my general manager. I felt so connected. But he would then just take his shirt and tie off. Come on, we're gonna have a chat. Let's go for a walk around the grounds, and it'd be just different. I was managed differently.
Wow.
And yeah, I just feel like I thank him a lot. And it was sad times to see him depart. And not with us anymore. And that, I suppose, it makes it more powerful to come back and go, thank you, man, up there. I'm here where I am.
Yeah, I love to ask that question, because I think people underestimate the influence that we carry over the lives of other people, or the influence we have in the lives of others. Those little things, seemingly little things, inconsequential things, that we do, but impact the lives of people forever. And every time I ask that question, these are the sort of answers I get. Very often it's a family member, it's a parent. Very interesting. And I always say our parents never probably saw themselves as leaders as they were bringing us up, or even they never probably even thought we noticed the things they did, because they just got on and did what they did. But that impact is so powerful and it stays with us for the rest of our lives. And just listening to you share about this GM and how he managed you by giving you opportunity. I mean, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, says there are 3 things that every leader needs to focus on doing for people. 1, value people. 2, love people unconditionally. And 3, believe in people. And that's what this gentleman did. He believed in you, giving you opportunity to try, to fail.
Yeah, it really did, Mary. Yeah, and that's it. I don't suppose we know the power of what we're doing now in our current role and position. What do we know? We're not trying to egotistically empower people. We're trying to. You can see if people are trying to do it for self gain or self worth, can't you? And you see that too many times, maybe. But yeah, I think it was a really great opportunity for you to ask that question to make me think about it. So it's really clever.
Wonderful. The Life and Leadership Podcast is brought to you by Can Do Academy, where we help organizations develop high-performing teams and extraordinary leaders. To find out more about our work, visit candoacademy.net. And do join us for part 2 of this episode.
Thank you for listening to the Life and Leadership Podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, hit the subscribe button. That will help us reach more people and inspire more leaders. See you on the next episode.